So, can you actually make good money with marketing? This is the question I've been asked many times. When I left college and I decided, yeah, I'm going to do this marketing thing, I'm not going to get a corporate job. Yeah, that's what most people were thinking, is how are you going to make actual, good, real money with marketing? You need a degree to make good money. And marketing, like look at the jobs in marketing, right? In Ireland, for example, where I'm from, jobs in marketing don't particularly pay well. Where you work 40 hours a week, you do marketing for one specific company, they're not high paid. So these beliefs, they're true, right? So when people were saying to me when I graduated, hey, how are you going to make money with marketing? They were kind of right. But here's the real story of how marketing actually made me a ton of money. You see, that business that I started once I graduated college did very well. In fact, it was doing six figures a year within the first year. By year two, or I think near the end of year one, we were doing multiple six figures per year. So marketing, a thing that actually for most people doesn't make a lot of money or doesn't pay well, ended up making me a ton of money. This problem all stems back to the fact that we are just bred and conditioned to think that really the only way to make money in any industry, whether it's marketing or finance or accounting, is you get a job, right? You study hard, you get your degree, you get a job in that industry, in that field, and hope for the best. Right? Whereas in reality, there's so many other ways you can make money. So in my case, with marketing, I didn't have to just work with one company 40 hours a week. I could work with 10, 20, 30 different companies, right? But have a team that supports me where I'm not doing all the work. I might not even need to work 40 hours a week, but somehow give all of those clients a great experience, create systems and structure where those clients actually get results, and then we make way more money. That's the difference. Tourism Ireland, which is basically a company, as you can imagine, responsible for tourism in Ireland, they're paying 65 million euro this year just on marketing, right? And that's a tourism company within a country, right? And we're a very small country. So you think of other nations out there, budgets are hundreds of millions a year. Some might be even billions a year, right? So marketing, yes, there's a shitload of money in it. You just have to be in the right part of marketing. If you're going to apply for a 40-hour-a-week corporate job as a marketing manager or a marketing director in a company, yeah, you are not going to make that much money. Okay, I got offered a marketing job for around 24K a year as a digital marketing specialist. That's not that much money, right? There's other jobs, of course, where it's maybe you're a marketing manager or a director and it's more, but again, it might cap out at 30, 40, 50K a year. Some of them, of course, might be higher. And maybe you might make 70, 80K a year, but you still have a boss, you still have a job you got to clock in and out to, and you still only get maybe a 2% increase every couple of years. So when I started, I had no clients, didn't really know what I was doing, but I wanted to do it. And that was the main thing that got me started, right? It was just that desire and that willingness to be wrong and to just bet on myself. So you do need that. Now, the second thing you need, of course, is an understanding of how this actually works. Okay, so if we look at the current landscape, where is the money in marketing? What kind of services are we providing? Well, I'll walk you through some of them. All right, you've got social media management, where you've got business owners paying you to manage a social media page, maybe an Instagram page, TikTok page, or a Facebook page. Oftentimes, these business owners are not necessarily looking for a crazy result or a ROI, return on investment. Most cases, they're looking for convenience. All right, they're looking for somebody to do their social media. They know they need to do it. They know it's important. They know they need to be active on there. They know they need to reply to messages and comments on their page. They just don't want to do it themselves. Okay, so that's social media management, one of the most common services that actually my students, my mentorship students are offering right now. And this is not cheap either. This is, of course, something you can charge low ticket for, $500 a month, $600 a month. But we have people charging $2,000, $3,000 a month for this service. It obviously depends on the type of client and how big they are. And of course, the scope of work. If you're managing one social media page and you're posting once every 3 days on their page, yeah, you're probably going to charge $500 or $600 a month. But if you're managing 3 pages for that same company and you're posting once a day, twice a day, then yeah, the budget might be a couple thousand per month just for that one client. Now, content creation is another service that we see incredibly common within the marketing space because it's kind of the backbone of social media management. Right? In most cases, a business owner for social media management is paying you because they don't want to create their own content. They don't have a lot of content to start with. So in that case, Content creation is where you come in. Now, obviously, these days with AI, there's a lot of content you can create with AI. And there's a lot of content you can create without ever needing any input from the client. So this is a lot easier now than it was when I started. When I started, we did need a lot of direction and input from the clients, okay? Now, content creation, we typically charge a price per piece model, okay? So we might be charging $30, $40, $50 per piece of content we create, whether that's a video or a graphic. Now, if you followed my story before, you'll know we do a lot of outsourcing, okay? We hire a lot of graphic designers, video editors that do a lot of this work. And yeah, we pay obviously less, right? We pay maybe $5, $10 to them per piece of content, which leaves us with a nice, healthy profit margin of maybe around 70%. Those are two of the core services. Of course, there's others. There's email marketing, there's website building, there's Facebook and paid advertising, there's lead generation. There's all these things. My business, okay, my agency, and also the consulting I do now, we specialize on content creation and social media management. Really, because it's what worked best for me. It's what got my business to 7 figures. It got there with a really high profit margin and a pretty lean enough team. But also it gets you clients, again, that are not just looking for ROI and return on investment. Because when a client is looking for that return on investment, the problem is the second you don't deliver that, they are gone. When a client is paying for convenience and the fact that they just know they need to do the thing that you offer, in this case, social media or posting content, then yeah, if results are slower or we have a bad month or something happens and our results are dipped for a couple of months, it's not as big of a deal. You know, they understand that, and it's more about the convenience. So that's why we focus on those. So look, the next time somebody says to you, there's no money in marketing, and look, if if you're in school right now and you're going to go to college, or you're in college and you're thinking about doing marketing, like, yeah, if you say this to your parents, they're probably going to say that same thing. And again, just understand they're right, and they're coming from the right perspective. Because like marketing, inherently, when you get a degree and work as a marketer in one company, inherently you don't make a lot of money. Like, that is the reality. That is the truth. There's just a different way of doing marketing where you have your own marketing agency. You work with many different clients. Those clients all pay you separate fees. They don't pay you per hour. They pay you per project, per month. This gives you that control where you can work 20, 30 hours a week and potentially make 10 times you would make in a marketing job, right? As a director or the marketing specialist. So to answer our question, can you actually make good money with marketing? Yes, you can. My marketing agency did very well, made me personally a lot of money. And the people I work with now and the mentorship I do, they make boatloads of money. Of course, some people don't want to make 10K a month or 20K a month and deal with that kind of, I guess, the kind of complexity that might come with that compared to making 2,000 a month, 3,000 a month. They're happy with that. But we have people that are in 9 to 5, so they're still working their job and they're making 5 to 10K a month on the side, which sounds crazy. I know that sounds impossible, right? But this is the reality. This is the world we are living in. You can either move with it, get on board, or you watch from the sidelines, say it's too good to be true, and this passes you by. So look, if you want any info on what I do, you can reach out to me on Instagram. You'll see that's linked in the description of this video. There'll also be a link in the description for my website where there'll be some info about what we do and how I help people. So feel free to click around there. And if you're new, check out the other videos on my channel. See you in the next one.